star, Polaris, fixed in the sky. Constellations going around it. We know that. We have proof of that. Just with that alone, that really gets me, really into finding out what's up with the North Pole.
You're a musician. You've seen a speaker. You know how it has the magnet right in the middle, and around it has the south and north. Could that be what we have here on plain Earth?
Yeah, I'm open to anything. How would we ever find out? We would, how much money would it take to take a plane and go directly over the North Pole where all that magnetism's coming from? Would we be able to fly over with all that magnetism that compasses are clearly pointing to from all over the world? They're going, there's some magnetic force in the North Pole. Maybe a plane couldn't fly through that magnetism. Maybe it'd be like some kind of like Bermuda Triangle type deal where you just crash or something.
Let's jump to other conspiracies, but people know I've said this before. I have a relative high up in the airline industry, and I've asked that question, and what I'm told, it might be BS, that the mechanism of the plane and the electronics would render themselves inoperable over that area of the world. I don't buy it, but that's what they say. But here's another conspiracy. And by the way, I don't like to use the term conspiracy theorist, because as you know, that comes from the JFK time. Parapolitical researcher is what we should call ourselves. But pilots are not allowed to talk about it in the airline industry. Number one, I saw a UFO, and number two, chemtrails. They can't talk about it, otherwise they're fired.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, they can't talk about it. You're going to tell me that you're flying for a major airline, and you see these planes flying above you or below you, and you see them spraying all this stuff. You're not going to question it? Well, they're not allowed to question it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a smart move. I would do that too. I would ban that. I would fire anybody who brought that up. Make it nice and easy. I bet they can't bring up flat Earth either. They get fired.
No, that's for sure. That sticks you to the psychiatrist. But speaking of chemtrails, I know you discussed this. What's your take on chemtrails?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what they're doing, but they're doing something. And whether it's, some people take it real far and go, oh, they're spraying mind control chemicals on us, or they're spraying like lithium or whatever. I mean, anything's possible. I think for sure they're either doing weather control experiments, or they already know what they're doing with the weather control already, or at the very least, they're spraying nothing until they need to spray something. And when they need to spray something, we'll never see it coming because we're so used to them.
Oh my goodness.
We're just used to the lines, you know what I mean? Because I was watching this documentary on Guantanamo Bay, and that's the military installation in Cuba. So when Fidel Castro when he took power, the Americans never left Guantanamo Bay. They're like, try to kick us out. What are you going to do? And so Fidel couldn't do anything. So on the island, there's this American military base, Guantanamo Bay. You're familiar with it, right?
Of course.
So I'm watching this documentary on it, and they're interviewing some military officer, and he's talking about how every day they dive bomb on Havana, and like if they're going to attack them. So to get them used to it. This is what this guy said. He's saying they dive bomb Havana every day with bombers just so they get used to it. So if they ever had to take them out, they would never see it coming. There would be no warning. So for me, I thought, wow, that's a brilliant tactic. Sounds like, the people that are, high up in the military who come up with these tactics and strategies, they're brilliant guys, that's awesome. That's a brilliant thing. And it makes sense that, you could do the same thing with spraying the clouds, keep spray shit every day. Just have people spraying like something benign, something nothing. So if you tested it, it'd be nothing, and then people would just forget about it. But if for some reason we needed to calm people down or, do something as extreme as exterminate people, if there was some kind of uprising or some kind of revolution, they would never see it coming. They would just send the planes, and then people would be either dying, getting sick, or, becoming zombies or whatever, and they would never know what it was.
I think, Eddie, you hit the nail in the head, in my opinion. I've been thinking about this all the time. I'm thinking, what could they be spraying every single day? I mean, people are not dropping like flies. But you see commercials from the 90s that are being changed, and even movies that are being edited to add a chemtrail sky so that the new generation thinks this is the new normal sky. You remember growing up, you and I are the same age, more or less. We remember the blue skies. That sky is no longer around. These clouds are fake. So what if, as you said, tomorrow they need to pacify the population? Well, then just put something in their tanks. They spray it. Because a lot of people, they don't want to be vaccinated. There's a lot of pushing. The people don't want to be vaccinated. This is a great way to deploy whatever it is that they want to do. 9/11. 2 days after 9/11, I remember this, a Canadian reporter interviewed Donald Rumsfeld and said, Mr. Secretary of Defense, what are you going to do if there's another attack to control the panic? And he said, I never saw that video again. He said, that's okay. We have aerosolized Prozac and Valium to be deployed if need be. And this is 2001. Imagine right now what they could do.
Wow, you can't find that clip?
Can't find that clip anywhere. It was a Canadian reporter, and I remember the words, aerosolized Valium and Prozac. And this is before I was into chemtrails. At that time, I believed that the government had nothing to do with 9/11. It wasn't until a relative of mine brought it to my attention. I stopped talking to him for 2 months thinking, how dare you accuse our well-intentioned government of doing this? Then I did my own research, and I am here today because of that.
Oh, did 9/11 wake you up?
Absolutely.
Was that your moment?
Yes, that was. I knew about JFK and, the fact that Lee Harvey Oswald was not the lone gunman, but that's the extent of my stuff. I just never thought our government could do such a thing. And then we had Boys Town, Nebraska, Franklin scandal. And that was another blow to me. And I had to look into it. And I interviewed Nick Bryant, one of the reporters that, they have tried to kill him so many times. And that's when it woke me up to the fact that every person, or the majority of people in government, elected or unelected, they're either subverted or destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way I'm seeing it right now, too. It seems like, have you heard the Kay Griggs interview?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when she's not even who knows if what she was saying is real or not, but it seemed pretty damn real. And she pretty much said everybody that's in power, pretty much everyone in an important position of power.
Kissinger? You remember what she said about Kissinger?
Yeah, he's a child molester.
He would rape kids in Vietnam.
Yeah, that's crazy. So it seems like she was saying that pretty much everybody in position of power has been bred as a child. They've already gone through a whole generation where and her husband, Colonel George Griggs,
right?
That's
allegedly.
Yeah. What have you looked into that? Was there a George Griggs? Are there people saying that she made that up and there is no George Griggs? I mean, because I Googled it and I found a George Griggs. And what did you look into it? I'm
going to say it publicly. I had somebody, former military, who was one of our loyal listeners. We were in touch for years, and he was brokering an interview with Kay Griggs, and shortly after he passed away.
He interviewed Kay Griggs, and then he
knew her. He knew her, and he was brokering an interview with Kay Griggs and us, and it didn't pan out. He passed away afterwards.
Wow. Is she still alive?
I think she is. I mean, who knows? There's so much. I mean, you see Neil Armstrong. You see those astronauts coming, the very first interview they gave the press. And you see them, and they look almost as if somebody killed their puppy or killed their parents right there. It's obvious that they're lying. to us.
Yeah.
And people just don't. I mean, if you and I went to the moon, Eddie, and we came back and we were interviewed, gosh, you would have to stop me from jumping up and down.
Yes, exactly. It's obvious. I mean, the moon landings were about as fake as you can get. I mean, it's not even a question. If you believe the moon landings were real, you need to seriously sit down and do some open-minded research. And once you figure out that we've been lied to about that, then you got to question everything. I'm questioning everything. It's like, it just seems like North Korea. Like, what's their story? And I saw this documentary about North Korea. It was about some journalist who was posing as an eye doctor assistant, trying to, because in North Korea, they allow these Chinese eye doctors to come in like once a year to fix everyone's cataracts. And this one journalist, the documentary is that she stuck in as an assistant, and then she got a lot of footage on the inside and stuff. And the documentary is definitely anti-North Korea, but it starts off like, hey, back in the Korean War, the U.S. made 18 North Korean cities disappear. And as soon as I heard that, I thought, wait a minute, 18 cities vanished because of carpet bombing and fire bombing from the U.S.? We made 18 of their cities disappear? No wonder they fucking hate us. No wonder they hate the world. Like, right there, I just thought, man, can you imagine if there was a country, let's just say France. We were at war with France, and they made 18 cities disappear in the 50s. They made 18 U.S. cities disappear in the 50s. Every single person in the United States would have tremendous hate for France. Nobody would ever be allowed to say anything positive about France. And me as well. I would be right there with it. France made 18 cities disappear. Of course we would hate them. So, for sure, I'm thinking kill Jim Huang. I can never say his name. I'm sure he's like a psychopath, I'm sure. But I'm sure there's more to the story than what we're being fed. Everything we're being fed about North Korea, I've been tricked enough. I'm sure there's some stuff. I'm sure there's another side to the story, and the truth is somewhere in the middle.
I think we keep Kim Jong-un, or whatever his name is these days, we just keep him because we need an adversary. And, you're bringing me to Vietnam now. You probably know this. You remember Ross Perot?
Yes.
You remember why he ran for president?
He was a billionaire guy. He was an independent billionaire, and he was going to basically...
Well, he made George Bush lose. Remember?
Yeah. What year he made George?
1992.
And that's when Bill Clinton won, right?
That's when Bill Clinton won. But you know why he ran? It's not because he wanted to be president. He wanted George Bush to lose. And you know why? You're going to love this. I interviewed a former congressman who gave me proof that even today, or back when he was a congressman in the late 90s, there are still prisoners of war in Cambodia, Vietnam, and Laos. And they have satellite imagery with their escape and eviction codes showing it to, whatever. If you don't believe in satellites, that's fine. But at least we have some balloons or something crossing over, because he showed me the pictures. So he went to Senator John McCain. McCain didn't do anything. Well, Ross Perot found out, and he wanted to go to the White House to talk to President Reagan. Tell him, hey, why are we not bringing our sons back home? They're still there. So he was met by George Bush, vice president. He said, you're not going to talk to President Reagan, and don't ever come back here. Nobody is going to bring them back. Shut up and don't talk about it. He was so furious that he said, I'm going to run for president. I'm going to solve this myself. Well, the rest of the story. So McCain